A pair of bear bombs as LSU run rules North Dakota State. We got your recap. It's Locked on LSU. Let's go.
You are Locked on LSU, your daily podcast on the LSU Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Okay, let's get it. It is Locked on LSU, your team every day. I'm your host, Matt Moscona. Thanks so much for making us your first listen. We are free, available wherever you get podcasts, of course, on YouTube as well. So please subscribe. As always, one of the fastest ways to help us grow is by leaving your comments below. So thank you so much for that. LSU run rules North Dakota State 13-3 after a very tenuous game on Tuesday. We kind of assumed that LSU had woken up a little bit, that the close call had gotten the Tigers' attention. They come out and play well on Wednesday, and they did. Tigers put up a 7 spot in the first inning and never looked back. Tigers run rule the Bison 13-3. A lot to talk about here over this one. Jared Jones hit 2 homers. We got to see William Schmidt start, go 4 innings, a little up and down from the bullpen as well. And a lot of different guys got at-bats and opportunities in the field, but pretty workmanlike defensive effort for LSU behind some shoddy pitching, but we'll get into all of that. Okay. Thank you for being here with us. If you're watching or listening on demand, thank you. Please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you're on podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcast app. If you are with us live, thank you. Just as a reminder how this goes, we'll go live here after LSU baseball games on the Locked on LSU YouTube channel. I'll give you my thoughts. We'll grab our quick break, and then we'll come back and I'll get to all your questions and comments. So let me take, about 8-10 minutes here, get through my take on the game, break, come back, and then it's all you. So fire away with your questions and comments. Start lining them up. I'll go in order. We'll get to that here in just a smidge. I'll start with Bear Jones. What a night. It's one we kind of been waiting for. A multi-homer night for Jones, who goes 3 for 4, 5 RBI. He had the 2 big blasts. The only time they got him out was when they struck him out. But for Bear Jones, he kind of helped LSU pace and get the margin. LSU put up a 7 spot in the first inning, which I want to go through in a minute. But look at how the third inning played out. Jake Brown walked on 4 pitches. Hernandez walked on a full count. Tanner Reeves struck out swinging. And then Stanfield came up on a 2-1 pitch, singled through the left side, and Jake Brown scored. Curiel came up, great at-bat, drew a full count walk. And then with 2 on, Bear Jones hit the big blast right there to the big 3-run blast there. So a 3-run homer. Dickinson gets hit by a pitch. Pearson walked, and then Milam with a couple of ducks on the pond struck out. But the damage was done. A 4 spot in the third. The Tigers were up 11-1. The run rule was in place. And then Bear Jones gave LSU the cushion that ultimately it would need, because he came up again in the 5th where Costello, who had gone in as a defensive replacement, Costello walked, full count walk. And then Bear Jones homered again. By the way, both home runs were to the opposite field. On a day where the wind was blowing out to right field, this was going to benefit left-handed pull hitters or guys from the right side going the opposite way. And Jones did that twice. It was a day where, look, pitchers are going to try to stay away from Bear Jones, make him use the opposite field. But when you are Bear Jones, you can hit with power to all fields. And he showed that again. Both home runs went out to left. So that put LSU up 13-1. And they need it because Grant Fontenot gave up a 2 spot in the 7th. Otherwise, they'd still be playing baseball right now. The run rule would have been wiped away. But Jones gave LSU ultimately the margin twice that it needed in order to run rule North Dakota State. I want to run through the first inning because the 7-run first, I think, is pretty indicative of what this team is offensively. Now, let's be very clear. I want to say this again. North Dakota State is a bad baseball team. This is a pitching staff from North Dakota State that on the day walked 6, hit 3. Their defense did not commit an error in this ball game, but they're just not equipped to beat a team like LSU straight up. But You go into that first inning and you see how workmanlike LSU was and how they were able to beat North Dakota State and be efficient offensively in so many ways. Derek Curiel single to center field to start the game on the second pitch of the ball game. Then Bear Jones comes up, hits a single to left field on a 2-2 count. So you've gone single, 2-1. Here comes Danny Dickinson. Very patient, 3-1, walks. So now you got the bases loaded for Josh Pearson. Boom, he's a magnet, gets hit by a pitch. So you've got a run on the board. And then Milam, who, of course, the night before was huge. Tied the game in the 6th, gave you the lead in the 8th, comes up in this situation with the bases loaded. Boom, single to right center, 2 RBI. LSU's up 3-0 for Jake Brown, who then gets a sacrifice fly to score Pearson. Reeves would single to right to score Milam, and then Curiel would come up later and single to center, which scored Reeves. But time and again, and then Jones ended the inning on a strikeout, unfortunately. But LSU batted around in the first. But the Tigers would put up 7, and what you saw was not the benefit of a bloop and a blast. It wasn't the benefit of a bunch of walks or hit by pitch. You had 1, 2, 3, 4. You had 5 singles in the inning. You had 5 singles in the first. So it wasn't like you're just ripping the cover off the ball and banging doubles off the wall. You had 5 singles, including one by Jared Jones. It just continues to show this team's ability to hit for average, what they're going to need. There's been teams at LSU that we know could hit for power. I'm not just talking about the Gorilla Ball teams. You can go back to 2023, the championship team, where you had Cruz and you had Tommy White and you had Travinsky and you had Beloso and you had guys up and down that lineup that could leave the yard. This isn't that team, but this is a team that is going to be able. Ben McDonald, I thought you had a great analogy. He said LSU offensively is death by 1,000 paper cuts because they are relentless 1 through 9. And when you have a batting order, when you can stack the bottom of the order the way LSU has been doing with guys like Steven Milam and Michael Braswell, who, Milam was a freshman All-American. Braswell was a 300 hitter in conference play a year ago. Yeah. You're going to have a lot of ways to beat teams. And Tiger showed that again. On the mound, we saw again, LSU struggle with walks. 7 in total. Is 7 walks, 3 wild pitches. There were 4 hit by pitches, 3 of them by William Schmidt. This continues to be the thing that's a little concerning. Now, let's talk about Schmidt, who gave you 4 innings. He only allowed 1 run through 4 innings, so that'll play. And he struck out 7. So he recorded 12 outs. 7 of the 12 outs he recorded were by strikeout. So Schmidt was overpowering at times. But the 2 walks, the 3 hit batsmen, that's 5 base runners. The 1 run he gave up was on a wild pitch, which, by the way, should not have been a wild pitch. That should have been a pass ball on Luis Hernandez. It was up and in strike where it went off of Hernandez's glove to the backstop, which allowed the run to score. I'm going to continue to say this. I've said it since before the season started. Your inability defensively at catcher is your biggest Achilles heel on this team right now, and it showed up again tonight. I mean, the only run they scored was on a ball that hit Hernandez in the glove and went to the backstop. It was an up and in strike. You got to catch the ball. You're the catcher. Catch the ball. They're just not good defensively at catcher. They're competent. They're not good. Certainly not elite. And I don't know that you fix that this year. It's just something you're going to have to work around. But the big concern is when you have pitchers like a William Schmidt, who has this elite curveball, a true 12-6. It's not a slurve. It's not a slider. It is a true 12-6 curveball that he can snap and throw for a strike, but that he can also bury at 58 feet. You got to be able to bury the hammer and trust your catcher to catch it. And I don't know that you do that right now. I mean, Schmidt had 3 wild pitches in 1 inning last week on that Monday. You got to be able to block the ball. And right now, it doesn't seem to matter if it's Hernandez or Aaron Beatty. They're not doing it. And That's unfortunate. I don't know how it changes. But Schmidt did extend 60 pitches last week, 73 this week. 73 is not economical. 73 pitches in 4 innings. I mean, you want to be in the 12 to 15 pitch per inning range. That would put you at 48 to 60 pitches. He was at 73. So you would love more efficiency there from Schmidt. But again, young guy making just his third start. We'll see more and more and more as he comes along here. Dalton Beck came in through an inning, struck out 2. He walked a guy, and gave up a hit, which was a theme. Jacob Myers came in and pitched the 6th. Myers faced 6 hitters. He walked 3 of them. Now, he didn't give up a run, and he threw a wild pitch. He had to work around trouble, and that was the thing about Myers. Elite strikeout stuff a year ago at Nichols, but led the country in walks. So it's going to be really tough for Jay Johnson and Nate Yeskie to trust Myers if he can't command his stuff. The stuff is electric. It pops. The fastball pops at 96. But if you don't know where it's going, it's hard to justify putting that guy in a spot where you got to throw strikes. I mean, this thing with Cam Johnson a year ago. This guy's throwing 98 from the left side. Freakish arm talent. Never knew where it was going. Walked 6 in his first appearance. He never figured it out, and you just couldn't give him the ball. You couldn't give him innings. And I fear that might be the same thing for Myers if he doesn't find and harness some command. And then we talked about Fondo, who gave up 2 runs there in the 7th. Almost cost you the run rule. But as you look at it, Beck, Myers, Fontenot, at this point, are probably not guys you're counting on in an SEC weekend. It's good to get him out there. It's good to get him innings. But you're starting to see Jay Johnson and Nate Yeskie narrow down who they know they can count on. And right now, I can give you those names. Like when they play Missouri in the opening weekend. Now you'll have your up 10, down 10 guys, right? If LSU's up 10 and they're just getting guys experiencing an SEC weekend, okay. But the guys are going to pitch: Anderson, Ianson, Shores, Cowan, Benj, Evans. Like these are the guys that that you're going to rely on in an SEC weekend. Schmidt would probably be out there as well. I feel like Connor Ware, who wasn't good this week, obviously, a Tuesday night, but Ware's a guy you count on. You count on Gavin Gidger when he's back. Like there's 9. 9 is plenty to get you through an SEC weekend. So keep getting these guys experience, but Jay Johnson is figuring out right now who he can trust and maybe more importantly, who he can't. Okay, my take on the game. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back and get to you. Drop your questions or comments. Thank you so much for being there. If you're live on YouTube, please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you're notified whenever we go live or post a new video. Your comments and questions and interaction next here, Locked on LSU, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. When the NBA tips off, the action is just getting started, and there is no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off, you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I love the live betting feature. I've told you about it forever. It's especially great in basketball. A lot of times you get great value if you wait to the under 16 timeout. If you had maybe an early run, you can maybe get some value there. So whether you're backing your team for a late game rally or you're picking a player to hit a clutch 3, you never feel like you miss your chance. Plus, the app is easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Okay, your turn. LSU beats North Dakota State 13-3 in a run rule. I've given you my take. Let's get to your questions and comments. Thank you so much for being there. Bubba Tatum looks like the come to skip speech will work well. Skip Bertman was in the booth. with Doug Thompson and Buzzy Heidel for a couple innings there during the broadcast. And he's a treat to listen to, man. Anytime you can put a headset on that guy and just listen to him talk ball for a few minutes, it is so worth it. Monty Williams, thanks for being there. Chef 22504, what's going on? Manny, good evening. Hey, Justin, looked a lot better tonight. Too many walks, still finding out who can be counted on. That is the punchline. That's the punchline. You have to go through these types of games in the pre-conference to figure out who you can trust in certain spots. Like, I know this. LSU is going to play Missouri a week from Friday in the first SEC game. If that's a 3-2 game in the ninth, you know who Jay Johnson's giving the ball to? Case and Evans. We've learned that so far through the first dozen games of this season. You're learning who you can count on. If, let's say on Saturday, Anthony Ianson gives you 4 innings and he's got to exit the game and it's a 2-2 tie, you know who he's going to? Zach Cowan. He's giving the ball to Zach Cowan saying, kid, see if you can give me 9 outs. Get me through the lineup once. Give me 9 outs. And then all of a sudden, you're in the 7th through 7. And if you're leading, okay, now you got your back of the bullpen guys you know you can trust. So that's what you're learning right now. Hey, Brian, thanks for being there. Thomas Spencer, pitching still struggling with the walks and hit batters. Yes, I would also suggest keep in mind not necessarily the what but the who. If Friday, Cade Anderson gives LSU 6 innings but walks 5 and hits 2, that's a problem. If on a Tuesday against North Dakota State, Jacob Myers faces 6 batters and 3 of them are walks, I can live with that because I'm more learning about that guy and his ability at this level than disappointed because a guy I know I'm counting on in conference play didn't deliver. Like, the biggest concern right now, I would say, of what I've seen is Connor Ware. Connor Ware giving up the 5 spot early to North Dakota State, that's concerning because they are going to count on Connor Ware. Now, listen, it's baseball, and big leaguers have had outings where they don't make it out of the first. Like, it's unfortunate, but it happens. It's still baseball. And I think Connor Ware is plenty good enough to pitch at this level. But if I have one thing where I tell you, I'm not super worried about Maverick Rizzi or Cooper Williams or DJ Primo or Dalton Beck having issues or Grant Fontenot. I'd be worried about the guys you're counting on. You know you're going to count on. You're going to count on Connor Ware. It's like last year with Thatcher Hurd. You knew you needed Thatcher Hurd to pitch significant innings for you in big spots to be able to be good. And he wasn't able to do it. Like, that's a problem. I don't see it yet with this team. Trivia Carter, what's good? Wayne, nice win. Need to work on the hit batters and the walks. Tiger Diver, should we be concerned with the multiple games with the number of hit by pitches and walks? That's a pretty familiar theme here. Hey, Craig Squirrel, what up, man? Pitching struggling with the walks and hit batters, catching still a concern. Let me go back to just for example. I'm going to do this at random. I don't know this off the top, all right? But I'm going to go back to the Friday game against K-State, okay? I'm going to do this off the cuff to hopefully illustrate. I don't remember this box score off the top of my head, okay? But I'm going to go back to the Friday game against K-State to try to illustrate my point. Okay, that's a regional caliber team, Friday, minor league ballpark, big spots, close game, all that stuff. Okay. Cade Anderson gave you 5 1/3, gave up 2 runs. He hit 1 and he walked 3. The 3 walks, the hit batter, not great, but gave up 2 runs over 5 1/3. I can live with that. Maverick Rizzi came in, he walked 2 and gave up 3 runs. Not great. DJ Primo came in, faced 1 hitter, got him out in the lefty-lefty matchup. You went to Connor Benj, who gave you an inning and 2/3 of shutout ball, struck out 1, walked just 1, allowed just 1 hit. You know you're going to count on Connor Benj. Case and Evans, a guy you absolutely know you're going to count on, right? Comes in, pitches the 9th and the 10th. No runs, 3 strikeouts, just the 1 walk, very clean. So the guys you know you're going to count on, Anderson, Benj, Evans, pretty good. The guy who really wobbled was Maverick Rizzi. a freshman who's still coming into himself, I can live with that. You gave Maverick Rizzi the ball in a tight spot against a good opponent to say, let's see what this kid can do. And he walked 3 guys. Okay. This happened last year with Cade Anderson. Cade Anderson was awesome in the pre-conference. Awesome against non-conference opponents. Jay tried to let him pitch against SEC opponents, and his ERA against SEC hitters last year was north of 20. He just couldn't get SEC hitters out. So maybe that's one of the things you're learning. Some of these guys are going to be better against North Dakota State than they are against Texas A&M. That's going to be their role this year. Hey, Brennan Huff. Corey, how are you? Manny, Smith struggled in the second after a long first for the Tigers. Fastball is great. Breaking pitch was outstanding. Give up a run on a pass ball. They ruled it a wild pitch, unfortunately. I mean, it was a ball that hit Luis Hernandez in the mitt. I mean, it was an up and in strike, glove side. Hernandez got his glove on it. You got to catch the ball. Corey, it's concerning when they start playing SEC ball. Only if it's hear me. Please hear me. It's only concerning if it's the guys you're going to count on. Like, I can tell you pretty definitively today, I don't think they're going to be counting on Maverick Rizzi in big-time spots in SEC games, at least not early. They're going to count on Kason Evans and Connor Benj. Those guys have been fine. This was the Dallas Baptist game last week. Connor Ware was great against Dallas Baptist. Zach Cowan came in, struck out 5 in his 3 innings of work. You know you're going to count on those 2 guys. Cooper Williams came in, faced 2 hitters, walked them both, out. Kason Evans came in, gave you 2 innings, 2 strikeouts, no walks, no hits, no runs. Awesome. You're going to count on Kason Evans. You're not going to count on Cooper Williams. That's the point I'm making. The guys you're going to judge the team macro by the guys you know you're going to count on. And by now we know who they are. Everybody else, it's experience. It's getting out there. It's getting on the mound. It's getting reps. It's getting comfortable. Jake Knight, cool to have Bertman on the broadcast. They gave you a shout. Oh, did I missed him give me a shout. I was listening to the game. I was listening to and I was watching it. I'm surprised I didn't hear him give me a shout out. Maybe at that point I was get up to go take a leak. Zach Lee, do you think Braswell will solidify himself at third once they get to SEC play? Maybe. But, Tanner Reeves, the fact that Jay keeps giving Tanner Reeves these opportunities tells you they like Tanner Reeves a lot. He was 1 for 3 in this ball game. He scored a run, had an RBI. The bigger concern for Reeves is when he got his first opportunity. It was that Monday game against Nichols, and he kicked a ball in the first or second inning. A ground ball, and that's how Schmidt ended up getting in some trouble. He got a ground ball, but Reeves kicked it, and he threw a couple wide of first base. So I think that's kind of part of it. It's a long way of answering your question. No, I don't think it's solidified yet because they keep giving Reeves an opportunity. I will be so interested to see if Jay Johnson gives John Pearson an opportunity. All he's done every time he comes up is hit. And if he's going to hit and be a productive batter, if he can be a competent or valuable third baseman, then that's a bat with some pop that you may count on. John Pearson, for whatever it's worth on the season, hitting 400. He's 2 for 5 with 2 RBI. And he's walked twice and struck out just once. He's got an on-base percentage of .571. I mean, John Pearson has made the most of his opportunities. A bleeping hammer. How much of the pitching woes are on Yeski? I'm not saying fire a guy with a proven track record. I would certainly like to see more improvement from the guys at the back end of the bullpen. At the risk of sounding repetitive, the guys you're going to count on have been fine. It's about getting the young guys to be a little more consistent. Hey, Guy Brooks, a lot of players got playing time tonight. It's a great thing about the pre-conference. You do get a lot of guys opportunities to get out there and play. At bats, live pitching, all that stuff. Hey, Ryan Dixon, for some of the walks, issues with Yeski's pitch calling. He throws off speed 3-1, doesn't seem to pitch to contact type pitching coach. So throwing off speed 3-1 on a 3-1 count. I don't hate, actually, because a lot of that comes down to scouting. And when you're talking about an era of advanced analytics, let me give you for instance, and I don't know an exact situation you're talking about, Ryan. And I'm not saying you're wrong, by the way. I just want to lay out a scenario hypothetically. Okay, it's 3-1. That's a hitter's count, right? 3-1. It's 3-1. As a hitter, you're expecting someone to groove a fastball. Well, if the scouting of this hitter shows he's dead red, sitting fastball, he's got some swing and miss. Maybe he's thinking fastball. You throw him something off speed. He swings over the top of it. Now you're 3-2. You got a little more leeway with what you're going to do. That may be an instance, right? Do you want to groove a guy fastball in that situation? Again, that's what I just don't know. And so that's a circumstance I don't know. It's not altogether uncommon to see an off-speed pitch at 3-1. I'm not saying it's what commonly happens. A lot of it's circumstance. What's the situation in the game? What's the situation in that half inning? But I mean, is pitch calling part of the blame? Could be, yeah. But at the same time, you can't, the pitching coach can't go throw the baseball. You take a guy like Myers. Myers led the country in walks last year. Got to throw the ball over the plate, man. Now I would say it's on the pitching coach and the staff to work with those guys to become more consistent strike throwers. But ultimately, he can't take the baseball and throw it. Long way of answering it. I don't know if I did. Seth said, Jay setting this program up with all these talented young guys to go on a run like Skip did. Maybe not necessarily winning as many championships, being in Omaha every year. I mean, it's the expectation. And by the way, all the young pitchers that I'm talking about there, I'm not saying throw dirt on them and never let them see the light of day. I'm saying this is when you go get them innings. This is when you get them on the mound. This is when you get them experience. On a Wednesday night against North Dakota State, when you're up 13-1, is exactly when you go out there and you let them taste what it's like to be on the bump when you walk a guy and you got 2 on and you're trying to preserve the lead and you got to go make a pitch. When it's not a high leverage situation, it's not going to cost you anything, but they have to go deliver. Pitching has a lot of strikeouts and walks. SEC will need to trust the defense, make them earn it. I'll tell you this much, man. It's probably one thing we haven't talked enough about so far is how good the defense has been. The outfield is outstanding. You probably got 6 guys in the outfield that you could play on any given day and feel really good about it. Maybe even more than that. For all the questions we had about Milam moving to short, he's answered that emphatically. Braswell, the move to third has been seamless. Reeves is a natural third baseman, and you could play Pearson there as well. The big issue, obviously, has been catcher, but everything else defensively has been awesome. Clint, will we see if Guidry is back this weekend? I don't know, Clint. Jay said that the plan with Guidry was that he was going to be out another week. I took that to mean he would be out this week and then be back next week. Maybe you get him on the bump against Xavier, next week in the midweek. And if he feels good, maybe there's a situation to get him out there for an inning or so against Missouri, kind of getting him warmed up a little bit. I don't know that we see Guidry this weekend. I would love it. It'd be awesome if we did. But look, one of the sort of unsung or unheralded storylines from Tuesday was Chandler Dorsey pitched for the first time. Dorsey was the closer at South Florida last year. He's a very good reliever. And Jay said candidly after the game, he just wasn't good enough in the preseason practices. But he's a veteran guy. He's kept working at it. They had an opportunity to get him out there, and he pitched well. So he's earned another opportunity to get out there and pitch. Hey, Patrick, go Tigers. Monty, I love the lineup also. Yeah, the only change I would make, even consider making in the lineup, and I love Brown in right field, by the way, with Pearson DHing, Josh Pearson DHing. I do think that's the lineup. There will be times, no doubt, where if you want another right-handed bat in the lineup, Fry's going to DH, and I get that, and that's fine. The only other thing I would tell you is if you want to stack lefties, I think you could go Larson in left, Curiel in center, Brown in right, Josh Pearson DHing. If you wanted to stack the lineup with lefties, I think that's something you could. And Stanfield would go to the bench. But I like Stanfield a lot, man. He is great in center defensively, and he had a knock tonight. Stanfield tonight was 2 for 3 with an RBI, a run scored. I mean, there's just something to be said for these guys that have played a lot of college baseball. The old movie, Slow the Mechanism. What was it called? The Perfect Game. Kevin Costner, clear the mechanism, slow the mechanism. Was it like when you're that veteran, you can do it easily. Manny, wild pitch is an earned run on the pitcher, but not a pass ball. It sucks when the scorer gives Smith an earned run on an obvious pass ball. I agree with you, Manny. The ball hit Hernandez in the mid. Like, he should have caught the ball, period. Zach, been waiting to see if John Pearson would get a shot. I'm for it, man. When guys get their opportunity and they deliver, you should get more opportunity. And I think John Pearson has earned those. Seth, Stanfield is amazing. You can track down anything in center. You have 3 center fielders out there at any given time. When you have Curiel, Stanfield, and Brown, any one of those guys could be an elite level starting center fielder. I will tell you, it is early. It is early. But I will tell you, I think that is the best defensive outfield since when you had Fraley, Stevenson, and Laird. Because those were 3 elite level center field defenders that you had at every spot. I mean, Fraley was a big leaguer. Stevenson's a big leaguer. Laird wasn't a big leaguer, but it's arguably the fastest player LSU ever had in the program. I love this defensive outfield. They are going to steal a lot of hits from other teams. Okay. Let's wrap this thing up, y'all. Thanks so much for being here. If you're watching live with us, big time shout out. Please smash the like button on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you're notified whenever we post a new video or go live. If you're watching or listening on demand, thank you so much for that as well. Podcasts, please subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Rate us, leave a review. YouTube, all the same things apply. Drop your comments. We appreciate y'all so much. Remember, whenever the Tigers play baseball, we'll go live with one of these post games as soon as the game goes final, and we'll look forward to seeing you here. So let a friend know that if they love the Tigers, we got you here every single day for Locked on LSU, your team every day.